So I finally played Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, like, way, way later than everyone else. I know, I'm super lame, but I finally got a chance to play it, and I thought it'd be interesting to discuss because it touches on a few things that I've been thinking about for a while. Firstly, I'm not sure if you played A Mobius Proposal, but A Mobius Proposal had a single-player control scheme that was very similar to Brothers. So Brothers totally copied me. It's totally how it works. I'm gonna sue them. No, just kidding. I actually got the idea from a PS2 game, The Adventures of Cookies and Cream, which technically in The Adventures of Cookies and Cream, if you read the back of the box, it said, for the first time ever, 2 people can share the same controller during gameplay. So the idea was that it was, I don't know, I had only played the game very briefly a long time ago, but I think the idea was 2 people could use the same controller, I guess, to save money on DualShock things, and then, but you could conceivably play both characters with one controller, which is sort of how I got the idea to do it in A Mobius Proposal, because basically for testing I had to play by myself, and I decided, you know, one analog stick per character, and then shoulder buttons to correspond to those. And I think, just as a side note, if you're, you know, interested in trying to come up with new cool gameplay hooks, certainly I think playing a bunch of, like, PS2 or PS1 games, you know, games of that era, I think they could do a lot crazier things, and I don't know, just buy boxes of games. I have a bunch of weird ones. I probably didn't play many of them, but, like, I'm trying to think. There's, like, Mr. Mosquito. Seems cool. You play as a mosquito. I don't really know. I don't think I ever played it. I just heard someone say it was weird, and so I bought it. So, like, basically I have a whole bunch of random PS2 games where people said, hey, this is weird, and I'm like, weird, I can do that. And so playing old weird games certainly can be a good idea for trying to get, you know, ideas for new gameplay mechanics, or even, you know, they don't have to be new. They can just be different enough, you know, because I don't know how many people play The Adventures of Cookies and Cream or A Mobius Proposal before, you know, Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. So certainly I think Brothers seemed really revolutionary, and certainly they could have thought of, I'm not saying they played The Adventures of Cookies and Cream game, but I'm just saying that because no one had ever heard of the Mobius Proposal or Adventures of Cookies and Cream, the gameplay mechanic seemed really new and interesting, and so I imagine everyone else has played Brothers, but I'll put in a spoiler warning that I may spoil things for you. So the interesting thing about Brothers is, well, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things. Certainly, they try to. It's trying to be an emotional game, and I think to some extent, what they did is admirable. And it didn't quite, you know, get its emotional hooks into me, and I'm not entirely certain why that was. It may have been because I had read It's a Sad Game, and so I knew what to expect for the ending. So, like, playing the game, I'm like, okay, clearly one of the brothers is gonna die. Probably the older brother. Maybe the younger brother would be more interesting, but I think it's maybe the older brother. And so that was that was my expectations while playing the game, and so I was not disappointed or surprised. You know, had I not known that, I think, you know, maybe it would have been more effective emotionally. But they do a lot of really clever things, and to create the emotional connection between you and the characters. And I think the most interesting thing is just when you can interact with a person, and you can interact with each character individually, so you can go up to someone and, you know, interact with the younger brother, and he'll, like, play paper, rock, scissors with him, or you go with the older brother, and he'll pull out the thing and say, hey, where do we get the medicine? And so I think that the way of characterizing the characters, that sounds like an idiot, characterizing the brothers through these little animations, you know, as far as I know, it wasn't in English, that or I just have very bad hearing. But without dialogue, they were able to establish personalities for the different characters. And so I think they could have done a little more for the relationship between the brothers. I think that would have maybe gotten me into it a little more, but I think the idea is that through the game mechanics, they're trying to emphasize the cooperation between the brothers. That's the only way to beat the game. And then that in and of itself, again, is kind of like a Mobius proposal, which, you know, that was sort of my goal, although it's supposed to be 2-player rather than 1-player. Although certainly you can play it 1-player, and I always talk about it. I really haven't gotten very much feedback on it. I'd be very interested to hear what people say. So, I don't know, it's downloadable. I'll post a link somewhere. I'd be curious if you play it to let me know what you think. But anyway, I'll stick to Brothers. So Brothers is, again, it's a bit of a platformer, but there's not really you know, any skill to the platforming. I was pressing the interact button to jump, but then it turns out they just auto jump. But again, it's all about this sort of simple puzzle solving to explore a world. And I don't know, I think maybe I would have liked a little more exploration and a little fewer of these little puzzles or obstacles you have to overcome. But that's probably, I'm probably biased. You know, certainly in Neverending Nightmares we tried to get rid of all puzzles, and you know, maybe that wasn't the best idea, but you know, I think that the world in and of itself can be compelling. But basically, I think they did a good job of, you know, coming up with things. I never had to look through a walkthrough, which is practically unheard of for me in a puzzle game. I could have gotten through Captain Toad. I did beat Captain Toad and all of the bonus levels and everything, and collected all the diamonds. But there were definitely some diamonds where I had to look up on a walkthrough. I think I still could have completed the game. And some of them I probably could have figured it out if I were more motivated to really explore the levels. But you know, Captain Toad I think was a very good difficulty for a puzzle game. Brothers I think was a very good difficulty, although I was talking to Joe, and apparently, like, I didn't get any achievement points when I beat the game, and I'm like, WTF, where's my achievements, you know? And then there's like 12 achievements, and they're all like weird side mission things, like, that I didn't really understand what they were doing. Like, I found some rabbits jumping around at one point, and then, like, I didn't really know what to do there. I think that was some sort of puzzle, because Joe kept talking about some sea turtles. He got back to their mother or something. I didn't even see the sea turtles. I did see some fish, but they didn't really play into, I mean, like, I thought, oh, well, if there's a puzzle there, I'll need to, you know, play with some fish, but otherwise I'll just, you know, keep on trucking. So I don't know, I'm almost interested to see what I would have thought. Had I known those were puzzles and there was something you were supposed to do there, if I would have figured it out. I suspect not, because, you know, I found some rabbits and I'm like, whatever, this doesn't seem to have any bearing on the game. But I don't know. So maybe there were challenging puzzles, I just didn't notice them. But overall, I like the idea that, you know, that they kept it varied, and they had a, you know, you were always doing, you know, things that were interesting, and I think that works really well for an atmospheric game, is, you know, give the player something to do, you know, I think perhaps, and I've touched on this in terms of my numerous post-mortem videos on Neverending Nightmares, is that I think perhaps first-person exploration counts as a thing, and that's why it works for Gone Home. But you know, if you're doing something like we're doing, where it's you know, more of a side scroller, then exploration doesn't count enough as a thing. So certainly, we're for our next game, we're looking at exploration plus. So you're exploring and you're doing something else that's cool that I'm not going to talk about because it's a surprise. And then also, you know, little objectives, these little puzzles or things little obstacles you have to get by. And again, we're thinking, you know, very easy. And certainly I think, you know, playing Captain Toad Treasure Tracker and Brothers has sort of reaffirmed that we will be able to do these things that I am hoping for, and it will hopefully, you know, make an even more exciting game than Neverending Nightmares for our next project. Anyway, Brothers is cool. You should check it out. If you have Xbox Live and an Xbox 360, it's free right now for games with gold. I bought it on Steam or something. I bought it a while back, but yeah, it's free if you like free things. So anyway, thanks for watching.